Hey, good morning, Patriots. It's another day, another great day in the USA. Astronauts are back safe. Our version of Iron Man, of Tony Stark, also known as Elon Musk, got him back. It's kind of incredible, but of course, the mainstream media is just ignoring it. I wonder why. It's like they used to love the guy, and simply because he becomes all about accountability and promoting good governance, they hate him. It's weird. Anyway, it's good to see you all. It's good to be here. I'll be getting in the chat as best I can as we go through things. We have a special guest today, Mike Nova. No relation to the girl in Planet of the Apes that Charlton Heston hooked up with. They're not related. Remember that where he sees the Statue of Liberty? Damn you all to hell! And there was a girl on the back of the horse. That was Nova, but this guy's not related to that Nova. Just saying. And another guy who knows all about Novas, because I think he used to drive one, is Chris Cordani. Good morning, Chris.
Yes. The car, one of the two cars that didn't do very well in the Spanish market, by the way. The Nova, which in Spanish obviously means
Nova
doesn't go, and the Pinto wasn't very didn't do very well
either. I know. Look, my first car was a baby blue Pinto. A 79 Pinto with rotisserie. So if you bump into that thing, you're going to be turning into rotisserie chicken. And it was kind of designed that way. So yeah, it was bad.
Mine was an 85, 84 Aries K. Those boxy things that did not work very well.
Yeah, the K cars.
No, they didn't last very long. They were big for a while, but did not last very long.
K for kraut. They were made, from sauerkraut. Did you know that they were made from recycled sauerkraut?
I thought they were made from something, but yeah, sauerkraut might be it.
Recycled. They super compress sauerkraut and turn it into cars. That's why they call them K cars.
Well, interesting. Now you learn something new every day, and
I know, it's true.
No wonder Klinger ate that Jeep on MASH. Maybe that was.
There you go. See, there you go. So it's been a busy day. For those who pay attention. I was on Newsmax, I went from one scheduled hit to 6. I was on a lot of the shows yesterday. So we'll be talking about some of that stuff today. And we just started kind of teasing this whole Nova thing. We got Mike Nova, right? And again, he's not related to Nova of Planet of the Apes, right? I'm correct in that, right? There's no relationship.
He's a good fellow. I've spoken to him before. He has been on with Dr. Corsi. We're going to talk with him. He's a Ukrainian entertainer. He's a singer. He's really good, by the way. He knows Zelenskyy from the entertainment days. He knows how the guy got to power. He knows a lot about his personality.
It'll be good. It'll be really good. Yeah.
Perhaps rumors of the white stuff might actually be true. And we can talk about that as well.
And we're not. Yeah, that's right. We're not talking about esoteric face cream. Just saying. Yeah. We're not talking about that white stuff.
Or Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. So, did he dance with Zelenskyy naked in the market? Is that?
No, he's a singer.
No. So well, that's too bad. That's too bad. Well, we'll talk about that anyway. But I know that it'll be different anyway. But we want to move on with the show. Welcome all y'all. Can I say all y'all? Because I live in the South, so I guess I can say all y'all, right?
Yeah, I have to say "yous guys" because I live in New York.
Guys, that's right. You're New York and New Jersey. Well, speaking of New Jersey, there you go. You circled the square there, Chris. There's a mayor in the Garden State who apparently, she thought she was a leprechaun and impervious to drinking, and got drunk and drove, and she was pregnant too. She's a mayor. Well, she was a mayor. I don't know if she's still a mayor or not. But what is up with these Democrats? I mean, so apparently, what's her name? Let me bring it up here.
I believe her name is. I'll grab that.
Yeah.
It's in the New York Post. You saw that today. That's something I didn't even notice before. It's Gina LaPlaca. Her name is. She was charged with a DUI.
Out of luck.
Nope, a DUI.
Yeah. And she's pregnant too. She drove, got drunk when she was pregnant. And I know most women who are pregnant are actually very cautious about consuming alcohol because there is fetal alcohol syndrome, which can damage the baby. So, did I mention she's a Democrat? Yeah, she's a Democrat. So I guess she didn't care about this stuff.
Democrats, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is what.
So there you go. So I don't. Is there something in the water in New Jersey that makes these Democrat politicians primarily become like mind-numbingly dumb, because this is stupid. You just don't do that. Plus, you would think she'd have the common sense to call someone. She's a mayor, for God's sake. Just call the local PD chief, like, hey, chief, I'm kind of drunk. I know I shouldn't ask you to do this, but could you drive me home? I mean, it's just kind of like, she has all these resources, and yet she chose to drive. So I don't know. Can you make heads or tails of this? I don't.
Maybe she felt she was too drunk to use the cell phone.
Huh.
I don't know.
Well, I can't dial, so I'm going to drive. I can't put my fingers on the button, but I could sure get my hand around that steering wheel.
Again, pregnant. Well, let's emphasize this: pregnant and driving her kid home from a toddler, by the way, home from daycare.
Yeah. On top of that, yeah. Wow.
But
she's like Mother of the Year. Yeah.
Well, again, fetal alcohol syndrome. How to produce Democrats. Done.
Yeah. See, maybe that's the key here, is that this is how they all get that way. But speaking of that way, let's move on to another mind-numbingly stupid Democrat, a guy named Chuck Schumer. Chuckles. I call him Chuckles.
Mind-numbingly stupid. I love it.
Mind-numbingly, because this is from The View yesterday, and oh my God, I mean, he goes through the grievances most of us have with the government. Well, they take my money and they limit my productivity and they tell me what I can do with my business, but we're going to save it. So let's run that, because this is how insane that is. This is truly, truly stupid.
Oh yeah, but it's Schumer-esque.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, my the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay, good.
That's right.
We're united in keeping government. Yes. Make it bigger.
We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that resource high tax Leviathan under the federal government sucking the life out of you. God bless it. That's our job, to make you miserable.
And that's the Democrats right there in a nutshell. And they think they're doing the
right there.
This is not something where these women played gotcha with them like they would do with J.D. Vance, or Republican. No, this is a full softball interview, and he's still
unsolicited
like that. Still
unsolicited. So I want this noted, Patriots, because I think we're all on the same sheet here. More people need to understand that that's their attitude. It's like, we'll tell you what money you can keep. We'll tell you how to treat your customers. We'll tell you how to run your business. I know categorically that's the opposite of the intention of the founding fathers. The founding fathers wanted minimum government, only enough to provide for common defense and common good. That's it. Nothing else. Not to be telling you that incandescent light bulbs are bad, or one day loving Tesla, the next day hating Tesla. I mean, it's insane. I just don't know how to see it otherwise. So
the other thing, let's take this a little bit deeper. Your liberal friends on social media, you've seen them. They're always saying, "Oh, you people don't want to pay taxes. What do you think pays through our roads?" Yeah. The fact is, in recent months, or let's say weeks, actually, government abuse of taxpayer money has been exposed. Now, the Democrats have always said, let's raise taxes. Let's raise taxes. Look, the MTA in New York City, let's microcosm it. The MTA has abused its, the leadership's abused the finances there, mismanaged the entire department for 40 plus years. And I'm probably just not even scratching the surface there. Still, how does the state handle it? How does the MTA handle it? Tax commuters coming in to a certain part of the city, going to work. Take it off the backs of them because they couldn't do anything. Again, more money to cover for their waste, taken from us, and then they're gonna.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to remember, is that they don't actually use it efficiently, and this is part of my issue with taxation. Like as you guys know, as a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done today, I got to go down. I'm getting on another board, medical board. Jesus, I've got like 4 boards I'm on now. Anyway,
you must be
as a county commissioner. So anyway, my point being is that part of my job as a county commissioner is to examine in detail, and I mean a lot of detail, the the financial health of our county, and that includes everything from what we can contribute to the economic development of the city at Edenton. We work with them on that. We work with. I was just talking to the sheriff yesterday about some improvements they want to make regarding search and rescue. We got to have that capability. It costs money. We're now talking about doing some improvements to water. We're actually buying some land to put a new water. Well, we got to drill for it. Drill, baby, drill, and it's not oil. So we're doing that. So we're looking at and the high school. High school costs something like $74 million to redo, and it's a lot of money. So my point being is that our job as county commissioners is to be essentially auditors. We're full-time auditors looking at all this, and we have to examine revenue versus spending. That's pretty much everything we do, and we have to have bylaws, certain amounts of percentages that we have in reserve. By law, the state of North Carolina requires us to do it. So, Chris, my point is, we have to live within our means, and we are elected to do that. And we're both Democrat and Republicans who work that together. So, this is not every state has that insanity. By the way, we want to minimize government. We have a lot of farmers. You go farm. You go, girl.
Yeah,
you go do your stuff.
You go.
Yeah, but the problem is you have people who are on the other end, like Schumer, who thinks that they need to be the arbiters of your money. It's like, no. We'll tell you how much you can keep. We'll tell you what you can do in your business, which is literally dangerous. And that's why we got to where we're at, because they want to grow the bureaucracy. That's another point I forgot to mention here. We have a very tight county government, very tight, very small. Any change is a big deal. And the federal government and New York State is the opposite. It's like, I don't know, let's just, you want to change a light bulb, let's hire 10 people to do that. And at least one of them will be able to figure it out, right? I mean, they hire 10 and hope that one can figure it out. Well, and the federal government too. So this whole thing about, we just want to keep, new taxes for commuters, like, no, that's harassment. They could find the money if they wanted to. They've created so many phony baloney programs. They don't want to cut anything. So they just add to the layers of inefficiency. Right, Chris?
True. And then another thing, though, is local governments. And this is why they operate a little more efficiently in many areas. I'm not saying all of them, but local governments, their officials are more susceptible or more accountable to the voter. It could be 100 votes can decide a local election. So if you're irresponsible
literally
with taxpayers' money, that's it. People who supported you are just going to walk out or vote for the other guy, no matter who it is. A lot of times there's a thinner line between the parties when it comes to being responsible for the local health care, or being responsible for sewage, or being responsible for one ward or one district. That's what I'm saying. And this is politics. Right. All politics is local, basically. And then you'd be subject to the massive what was it? The old days where there would be like some kind of crowd demanding you leave office, and the one guy with the board with the nail in it. That's the toughest weapon that anybody can have. The board with the nail in it.
That's true.
That's right.
So, well, anyway, the nail that needs to be in the coffin of Chuck Schumer at some point, because that guy.
Now that man's not
that guy. Yeah. So, but yesterday was a big news day. We talked a little bit about. Let's see. Let me go through my list. So Lee Harvey Oswald had Confederates, and I don't think maybe he did it. The JFK assassination files came out last night. So
some of them, yes, a good number of them, and people are going through.
Yeah.
Them. You probably know a department. Was it Department V that the Russians had, the Soviets had at that point?
The assassination department. Yeah.
Right. That was supposedly these papers found that Lee Harvey Oswald was part of that group, or possibly part of.
Yeah. Well, I think that so much of this was going to be pushed upon the Russians. They wanted to make it look like the Russians and Cubans did it. And I'm not convinced that, I'm based on what we talked about with Jerry, I just don't think Oswald did it. I think others did it. I think Oswald was a patsy. And I don't know how. Yeah, I think he knew parts of it, but I don't think he knew he'd be the guy they pin it on. I think it's like, oh, I'm just helping out. I'm helping out. It's like, what, me? And because I'll never forget, and Jerry referred to it yesterday on the show, when he's being paraded in front of the media, which you wouldn't think he'd want to do that with an assassin, but they wanted to make a big public display of it. Just saying, that's a clue. And the press says, what do you know what's going on? He says, no, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I've been charged with. And someone told him, you've been charged with the assassination of the president. And he looks just like totally like, what? And then that look of anger. It's like, what? And then anger. So I don't think that was fake. I don't think you can fake that. I don't think you can fake like shock and what? Oh, me? So I don't know. What do you think? Have you read through these things yet?
I'm still kind of analyzing the whole thing. A lot of things we found or that were found by a lot of people, and I'm kind of sifting through because there is some silly stuff and there are silly bits of analysis. I know one guy tried to pull off or tried to push through the idea that John F. Kennedy called Joe Biden a traitor, which, if it was true, is really funny. But again, that's a tough one. He was a younger senator back then. Who knows? But the idea is Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh, I know.
This but the papers seem to prove so far that Lee Harvey Oswald was not just a patsy, but he was the perfect patsy. He was a poor shot. Fine, we get that. I can't hit the broadside of a barn. I'm nearsighted. I understand that. But he was supposedly, if these finals are correct, that he was working for the USSR. So it's easy to say, hey, this guy was a Soviet agent when it comes to the news or anything else like that. And the conspiracy, people would shut it down. J. Edgar Hoover tried to push this whole thing out, and after Jack Ruby shot Oswald, to avoid the ever dangerous thinkers, the conspiracy theorists, they were called.
Right. Well,
other things.
So let me talk about the thing with Oswald for a second, because we opened that can yesterday, and I want to kind of continue to explore it. So I recommended the book Widows yesterday, because Widows is a book that talks about failed double agent operations, also known as OFCO, Offensive Counterintelligence Operations. We, the government, engage, and this is in the books. This is not like I'm saying something that's secret. We will look for individuals who we can dangle in front of foreign intelligence services, someone who would be attractive, like, Oswald. By some accounts, Oswald's a big patriot. Well, you want to recruit somebody who is actually patriotic, but willing to pretend they become a spy for the other side. That's why they call them double agents. You defect, go to the other side, you pretend to be on their side, and yet you were still working for us. And sometimes there's triple agents where the double agent goes over and works for them, and then he really does start working for them. It's called triple. So it's too many numbers. It's too early to talk about numbers. Next thing you know, we'll be talking about algebra. So let's get off that.
The quadratic equations of agents. Yes,
that's right. That's right. We'll have to go watch The Prisoner for that equation. That was the quadratic equation of spying. That is. Yeah, and I'm not joking. If you want to see the algebra of spying, go watch The Prisoner. That's a true statement. Anyway, back to Oswald. I think that there was ample evidence that he was super well known to the U.S. intelligence, that what he was doing was not being, at minimum, it was highly monitored. I would hazard to say it was controlled by intelligence. And there's a difference, by the way, a little more spycraft here for everybody to understand. When they talk about controlled operations are those which the government directs. There are operations where the government can monitor and like you can have people who are reporting to you, but you can't task them. That's essentially like snitches and stuff like that. That's undirected. You basically talk to people, but you don't say, "Hey, can you go and shoot John F. Kennedy?" You don't do that. You don't like make directions. So, but I do believe that Oswald was a controlled asset, which means he was in a different category, and that sets up a whole different legality. And by the way, I think that's part of the deal here. Is a lot of people are afraid of legalities, because you start pulling the layers back, you're going to find a lot of people were either complicit or directly responsible for the failure. And I think that's what we're going to come to find out. So what's now? Are we going to have Jerry back on to talk about this next week? Is that what the plan is?
When things clear up, we'll check on his schedule. We'll try to get him back next week. We got some pretty good stuff going. So
well, he'll know best to kind of go through it. Yeah.
But what we also understand is this whole idea of getting somebody to shoot John F. Kennedy was actually, and get this, this is what we're reading. You read a little bit deeper into the tapes here. It was in fact a triple dog dare.
Yeah.
That's what happened. They triple dog dared somebody and he finally did it. Or at least agreed, if you will.
I think it was Chuck Schumer's dad. I don't want to start rumors, but Chuck seems to have that kind of dad, just saying.
He would up Chuck.
So he was like the evil, like Darren McGavin was a good kind of wacky dad on The Christmas Story. Imagine Chuck Schumer's dad Chuck Schumer's dad probably walked around the living room wearing leather pants and a velvet jacket of some sort and said, "Mommy," a lot, from remember that Blue Velvet from that movie?
That's right. That's a good point. Or maybe
Oxygen.
He had one of his spies put his tongue on a frozen flagpole or something like that. That was the other triple dog dare. They did a lot of weird things when they got drunk back in the 60s. So who knows?
They did.
Yeah.
That's where fondue parties came out of. That's weird too. You ever had have you ever been to a fondue party? I haven't been to a fondue party, just saying. I'm just asking.
No, but I do have a leisure suit just in case that happens.
I know we've had it. I've got mine upstairs too. It's a different color yellow than this, but yeah, I've got that too.
It's a Mr.
But fondue parties, beach blanket bingo.
Oh, great movie.
Well, do they play bingo in the movie or not? I never seen the movie.
No, it was one of those Frankie and Annette movies. So basically, what pretty much happened. They all
it's virtual bingo.
Right. They all go to the beach and party. Then Frankie does something.
Then they all hook up.
Annette. Then Frankie does something to piss off Annette. Then they break up. Then everybody tries to find a way to get them back together. They throw this other party, and then they get back together. That's the plot of every Frankie and Annette beach movie. But you still can't stop watching them.
But nobody blows up or dies, huh? That's kind of boring.
No. I will say, did you see Back to the Beach? Because Back to the Beach featured one of the greatest duets in movie history.
No.
Annette Funicello and Fishbone.
Fishbone. Wasn't he a singer? He was a singer, wasn't he?
Fishbone was a band. It was a great band.
Oh.
Party at Grounds. They did. By the way, they're touring right now, so I might want to check them out when they get to New York. So that's going to be cool. However, Fishbone and Annette Funicello did Jamaica Ska. And that was a classic. Look it up. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Great bad movie and great song.
Great bad movie. Well, I like movie. Bad movies are kind of fun. Like, Kathy Hochul's amazing performance in Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's classic. I have never seen a politician do a better job. Do you have a picture of her for the folks? I swear to God, folks, Kathy Hochul. She ought to return to Planet 9 from Outer Space, Part 2. The Mayor Returns. That would be a great movie.
Yeah,
and she could tax the dead.
Yeah, she'll be charging
which
them.
They already do.
She'll be charging them a certain line across a certain area of space. Maybe she'll have a 60th parallel on the moon or something
that would be a great
toll.
Yeah, that would be a great. There she is, Kathy Hochul, back in the day when she was younger and still as hideous. That would be a great movie where they basically do a spoof of Kathy Hochul coming and stealing bodies out of graves to vote during elections, like they really do. It'd be like a documentary, right?
Right, exactly. And she, even if she wasn't surprised, she still have her eyebrows arranged where she looked perpetually surprised. And there we go.
That's right.
Her thing.
Oh, hold on a second.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
I have I have a guest. I have a guest that wants to come on. Come on.
Okay.
Come here.
Let's put this on.
I got Manny here. Manny, my Sphinx cat. It's really. Yeah, here he is. He's.
Gotta love.
You want to say something to the folks? He's. I'm like Dr. Evil because I've got a Sphinx cat here. So. He's not mine. He's not mine. But he wanted to say, hey, he was talking outside the studio, so I just thought I'd bring him in and.
Well, hello there, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Mr. Bigglesworth. That's right. There he goes. He's. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go back out. There you go. No. You gotta go. Anyway, so he always likes Mr. Bigglesworth. Yes, he just wanted to step in and say, hey, he's like a Ed McMahon of cats. So hey
Meow-o. There we go. Instead of hey
Meow-o.
All right, see, we got this. See. So
yes, I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing shorts because I have to do my workout either before or after the thing. So I do all the workout stuff in the morning. Yes, it's a creepy cat, but he's a fun cat. All cats are cute. So just remember that.
those are my favorite cats, the ones with the no hair. They're cool and they don't shed. That's the big one. I love cats, but they shed. I have
Big
two
time.
dogs. They shed. They shed
Yeah.
all over the place. Ah,
So the good news, and cats don't, you don't have to walk them.
I
They
like
just-
walking the dogs though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to, my,
Oh, nope, I'm all
he's gone.
for it. It's that
I don't know
darn
where's that.
lag. We love I have to bring Teddy in, or maybe Dixie in, and just say hi to everybody too.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Teddy's
I
shown up
brought,
here, right? Yeah.
this is not a plastic cup. This is check out Battlestar Galactica. This is what they use on Battlestar Galactica. It's actually double glass. That's why it's so
right.
cool. So
Yeah. By the way, I'm drinking out of a plastic
Adama drinks coffee out of a cup like this. So just keep that in mind. It's true. Commander Adama or Admiral Adama. So if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me, right?
What about Ming the Merciless? Does he drink out of that?
I don't know about Ming. I don't know Ming.
Ming is from Flash Gordon. Remember Flash Gordon?
I know what he's from.
Brian Blessed played the Hawkman, and he was awesome.
He did.
Brian Blessed is awesome because he doesn't say his lines. He shouts his lines. That's why we love him. Even on Blackadder the First, he shouted.
Yeah.
Edmund is the rightful. No, I think it's Harry is the rightful.
I love Blackadder, but I never got into Flash Gordon. So I don't know why. It was just I could never get into it. That and what was the other one?
The reason why Flash Gordon was was so hard to believe is because he was a hero, and he could throw a football really well, but he was a quarterback on the New York Jets, which usually means you can't throw the ball and you can't do anything right. So again, well, although I'm still a disgruntled Colts fan from 1969, that's another story for another day.
It is. And speaking of people who entertain and sing and do things, got Mike Nova. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Chris. It's so good to see you handsome gentlemen out there. God bless you and your
Mike.
loved ones. Come on.
Yes, you too, Mike. So, Mike, I was talking to the folks, the Patriots here before you got here. You're not related to Nova, the Nova on the back of the horse with Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes, right? That's not your sister, is it?
That's my one dream that I have not been able to achieve last year, and I wish I had that in my resume to say that to people, but it's just biologically impossible.
Well, we enjoy biological impossibilities. Look at the whole Democrat Party. Just saying. So anyway, I'm already kind of rolling this morning. Supernova. Hey, Mike, they're calling you Supernovas. That's cool. That's cool. So let's roll right into it. So well, welcome, Mike. We appreciate you being here. And you've partied with a guy named Zelenskyy. Do you know that they call him the Green Goblin? Our friends over at the Durant call him the Green Goblin. I don't know why.
Yeah. I thought he is kind of like that too. It was more even maybe something like the Cookie Monster, but maybe replace the word cookie with cocaine.
That's gonna hurt. So maybe he's first base for the Mets.
So Mike, now a lot of people think it's obvious. Now I'm a recovering alcoholic. I never went into the drugs. Maybe I should have just to know, but I didn't. But anyway, my point being is that a lot of people. There he is. He's actually like wearing a suit. I think that was he singing in that? He was doing an opera. What are you doing an opera there?
Yeah, he was. I don't know what he's doing there, but man, he definitely did come from a show business background as an actor, comedian. He's running a lot of stand-up routines, stuff like that.
So, Mike, and speaking of that, he had his meltdown with President Trump about, oh my goodness, about 10 days ago now. Time flies.
It was a nice acting job, by the way.
So, yeah, so my belief is, Mike, he had a script, and when he got to a certain point, he was told to go into a different script and play it out. Did you see that or not? I mean, you know the guy. So,
You know, speaking of scripts, how Chris and I were introduced, it was through Dr. Corsi, PA.
Yes.
Well, we all know
yeah.
Dr. Corsi, right? Jerry, yeah.
yeah.
And something funny about scripts, Tony, that happened there was I was in an interview like this with Dr. Corsi a few days before Zelenskyy, and I mean that whole meltdown, right, with President Trump and President Zelenskyy, and man, my last talking point was Zelenskyy, put a freaking suit and tie on for a change,
Of course.
And then a few days later, he's in the Oval Office, and that exact narrative is just being forced down his throat, And I asked Dr. Corsi, I'm like, hey, is that something we said? That they drive that from your interview? He's like, well, Mike, that's why we do these interviews, because these journalists need something to talk about and take some of our talking points. I'm like, geez, what are we gonna say next? So anyway, I guess something we're saying today is gonna be something that Trump might have to force down Zelensky's throat next interview. So let's have fun with it, yeah, guys.
I do. I want to talk a little bit. I mean, we try to combine real policy and topicality with humor. I mean, we have a good time here. We do, and that's why we appreciate you being here. But I think Zelenskyy. I mean, I don't know of any presidents who have gone into a supermarket and danced naked. Do you? I don't know
I
about
really
that.
don't.
But I mean,
no. I've seen Trump dance, but he does a pretty good job.
He doesn't do it
He's
naked. I know Trump a little bit. Yeah.
He's
So,
not
but that's my
naked
point.
when
It's
he's
like,
dancing.
no. Well, so Zelenskyy, though, there's several things he's done. Like I always talk about him wearing high heels, which is true. He's danced in supermarkets nude. He actually has a series of things. I mean, the guy. Does he have any intelligence, or is he just a guy they picked to play the role? What can you tell us about that?
Well, just to be fair to him, I mean, there's some intelligence, to say the least.
Okay.
There's some intelligence.
All right.
There is signs of intelligence for sure. There are signs.
All right.
But I think it might get diluted with a little too much time on the mountain skiing, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying.
Hey, it hypes you up a little bit, Hey,
So Mike, is he big? Is he big in Japan?
He's
Which,
a
by the
hit
way,
in
was what the song
Japan.
was about.
People don't know that reference. I mean,
That's
I
exactly-
love that song in the 80s, and people didn't like, that's a great song. It's like, do you know what it means?
Yes. When the guy's saying he was meeting with his men tonight, that's exactly what it
I
means.
know. It's like, oh, it's great.
All right.
So what you're telling us, he is actually big in Japan, and not the
yeah,
Godzilla
he's a
type
hit.
either.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Just an absolute hit.
Oh boy.
So I feel, and you're Ukrainian, and I have said from the beginning, I feel terrible about the Ukrainian people being pulled into the war, and I do. I've been in war. War sucks. People die. There's
Yes,
nothing
sir.
glorious about dying, even for a cause. There's nothing glorious about it. So this is why I think a lot of us are with President Trump on this.
Yeah.
As you probably know, I was one of his former advisors on his 2020 campaign. And I think
Tony.
that well, no, thank you. We just want to see, I said this a number of times, prosperity is the foundation, and the language we should be speaking is commerce. We should be trading with each other. We should be doing things to enrich people's lives. We want to get back to that. Ukraine is a beautiful country. You've got the Black Sea. You've got all these great things. It's time we figure out how to get both sides back and get back to doing business. And I think that's what we are all focused on. But do you think that that right now, as we go through this, that Zelenskyy will finally examine the reality of which we live in and do something to help meet President Trump halfway regarding the current negotiations?
I don't think you have a choice. You know, Trump drives such a serious bargain, very serious tone, and you know, to be honest with you, on the drug front, you know, he lost his brother Fred to drugs and alcohol. Right? It's
I didn't
so
know that.
sad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, his brother Fred died at 52 years of age from, you know, just literally drug and alcohol abuse. And something I've been telling Zelensky's office and just, you know, really passing on to him is, hey, this is going to be a trigger for some world leaders that have maybe lost a family member to drugs and alcohol when they see you splashing around in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
when they see this kind of behavior, especially when a conversation or a sentence or a paragraph could potentially save a million lives. So
exactly.
your dialogue should probably be pretty straightforward and really clean and cut, you know. And I'm not talking about cutting lines, you know what I'm saying? So
I do.
sure,
All the references today. This is
yeah,
great.
all of them, all of them. I continue. You know, I was on the phone with this celebrity from Ukraine, Positive. He was with Zelensky a little while ago on his Instagram. You know, if you look him up, Chris on Instagram, it's at POSITIFF Positive. And if you scroll down, he's with Zelensky, and he's much more famous than I am in Ukraine. But him and I get along really well. We're actually submitting a project to the Grammys in America this year. We're
Oh,
working on a
cool.
great.
Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. I'll share all that info with you guys, and as we go along, we're working with a couple Academy members. They offered the idea to
Oh,
tie
good.
in Ukraine and America. Oh, there he is. Look at him.
Yeah, handsome
Yeah,
fellow.
yeah.
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Please,
I'm gonna
Chris.
get
Yeah,
a serious
please.
end with this. I know we're joking around a lot here, but when I watch Volodymyr Zelensky when he talks
Yeah,
in front of the UN and when he speaks on camera to the to U.S. Reporters and he speaks in front of the EU, he is, and again, it's a great acting skill. You said he has a good degree of intelligence. He is a master of emotional manipulation, which many actors are. They're trained to do so. When
yeah.
he met up with Donald Trump is also run with actors. He's a showman. He
Yes.
also has done
Exactly.
interviews. He knows how to do the same thing. He also knows when somebody's trying to pull it off on him. So that that was going to blow up. It should have blown up behind closed doors, but that was going to blow up. Shouldn't Zelensky have taken a different approach from a guy knowing that this guy's not Justin Trudeau, he's not Emmanuel Macron, and he's certainly not Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, and he would not be able to. He would be able to handle. He would definitely be able to handle and throw back the emotional manipulation card.
Chris, you're 100% correct. And you know, I think anybody in Ukraine knows that teaming with the United States is a great idea. It's a solid idea and it should be done. So at that point, why even argue? Just sit there, take it. Even, you know, even if it's an approach, you know, of even if he feels I don't know, parented by JD or by Trump,
Gentle
just take it, but save the lives. Take the
Yeah.
relationship the way it is, but save the lives, save the country. Putin's not slowing down. I mean, ceasefire talks yesterday did not conclude to an actual ceasefire. Putin, you know, he's playing his
No.
card. Putin has the cards, as Trump's saying.
Well, that's one of the things I want to roll into because, Mike, you're a very intelligent guy. I'm sure you studied history. So, anywhere we've gone to help a country rebuild, Japan, Germany, we're still there and they're still benefiting economically. I mean, despite the fact, and in a country who learned the hard way that basically we should be there is the Philippines. The Philippines were all upset. Oh, you're still here. You're an imperial power. It's like, no, we're not. We'll pay you some money. Well, we want you gone. It's like, okay, we'll go. And then, oh, their economy crashes. So the idea here is that Zelensky was offered a great deal. You get us in bed, so to speak, economically. Man, oh man, you're going to benefit. You're going to grow. And oh, by the way, the Russians are going to come in because they hit us. They hit you. We're at war. You don't need Article 5. You don't need escalation. Mike, why didn't he take that deal? Because to me, that was a good deal. I don't get it.
Because a vacation in Japan is much more interesting at the time of trying to reason with logic.
Hey yo.
I get it. I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So I mean, most people saw the benefits. Like, man, this is better than an Article 5 guarantee. This is money. This is real. Money up front. You're going to get some money to develop. You're going to have some money coming out. We're going to be your partner. It's all good. And yet, he just did. So that's my next question. Do you think there's an issue right now regarding the EU versus us? The EU sucks. I'll just say it right up front. You got horse-eating socialists in France. You got Germans who want to basically be Fred Flintstone and run around with no gas in their cars with their feet. You got the British who have figured out that they don't need to have water. That actually, I guess they're going to go back to having bad teeth because they've taken all the fluoride out of their water. Just saying.
And throw you in jail for saying otherwise.
I know,
yeah,
I know.
I mean, if you badmouth Yorkshire pudding, next thing you're in the Yorkshire lockup. It's horrible.
And they make it too.
It's true. So is there a sense within the Ukrainian people, not the government? The government is transient. Do you think the Ukrainian people would rather be closer to the United States or to the EU folks? Which do you think they'd rather have?
Tony, that's such a great question, and I'm gonna love to answer this because it's actually personal to me as well. But Tony, Chris, I started flying to Ukraine a few years ago, and the reception as a Ukrainian American from the Ukrainian people towards me was demigod-like, I want to say. And I want to say that as a Christian God that worships a one God, and not without glorifying myself like that. But that's the feeling, in the sense that they understand that you come from a Western mentality. They understand that you come with you're resource rich. Typically, as an American coming to Ukraine, you have some kind of, at the minimum, cash to just put into the economy, in just the simplest shapes and forms, I guess. But it may be investments into businesses or whatever else. And they look at an American as a patriot, as a deliverer, as a negotiator, as a free creative, in a sense, as a free Christian, even in the sense that we get to enjoy faith in our country here in America in ways that in Ukraine it's even just from a psychological perspective, even if you're outside of a church organization or the orthodoxy or whatever it is, you're still feeling certain constraints even in your faith or belief system when it comes to what do we believe in and how do we believe in stuff like that. So they glorify Americans and the Western mindset, especially since it's built on the bedrock of democracy. So, the Ukrainian people, Tony, Chris, I mean, you get the point, they love Americans. Yeah.
Well, Mike, and so this is where I appreciate you framing it like you did. And look, we all believe deeply in God. I survived. Like I said, I'm recovering 34 years in recovery, in AA, so I'm very grateful for that. But
God bless
the one thing you mentioned, which is, thank you, and you too. Now, one thing you mentioned is important. Well, you said a number of things important, but this is very important. You, good sir, are an example of American exceptionalism. You came here to be an exceptional American. Think about that. They always get it wrong. It's like, we're not better than everybody else. No. You get it all wrong. You, Elon Musk, you can come here to be great. Exactly. American exceptionalism. People don't get it. It's like you can come here and, to use an army term, be all you can be, right? I mean, that's the beauty of it. People don't get that you have the freedom to fail, freedom to succeed. And I think people always try to say, oh, no, we're better than everybody else. Like, no, people can come here and be us, right? Yes. I think that's the important thing. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Man, I'm so hopeful for a future where it's not a trip to Japan during wartime, and and the Ukrainian, yeah, you know, the American exceptionalism just it stuns me to the day in a good way. I was on a call yesterday with this gentleman, Aaron George. It's 18-year-old that's been to Harvard, applying to Stanford. He's running a STEMS nonprofit with, you know, technology, engineering, mathematics, you know, studying. His parents also from India came in the 90s, similar to my parents and my family. And they've traversed the, you know, the landscapes that America provides up to the point where this 18-year-old is setting standards of being
Exactly.
an aerospace surgeon for astronauts with SpaceX. And he's getting, you know,
Exactly.
naval awards, Army awards at 18 years old. Him and I, we connected over, you know, the Exotics Network, where he, as an 18-year-old, brought his cyber truck to an event, and we, you know, we were talking about racing McLarens at the F1 track, and, you know, Coda that we did last week, and it's blowing my mind. You know,
Yep.
again, how powerful and how present America still is. Where, you know, I I was in a surreal experience on Saturday. A gentleman from Apple, Colin Murphy, invited me to come out, and he put me in the passenger seat with a helmet of his McLaren, and I'm kind of, it almost felt like a movie, you know, in the sense that there's a Lamborghini right in front going 170 miles an hour, a Porsche GT3 RS racing around this Formula One racetrack where NASCAR cars were just flying around a week before. And I'm saying, I'm in America. I'm not in
Yep.
Ukraine where the president is, you know, and you know, trying to figure out how to speak to a Donald Trump, which, again, massive respect to our president Donald Trump, who doesn't frequent Japan, thank God. You know what I mean? And again, that's a pun. I hope people don't take it out of context now that we're later
He
down
doesn't
the.
even drink, by
No,
the way.
no, no.
He
I'm
doesn't
sure
even
that we
drink.
have a very
He
hip
doesn't even
audience.
drink. Yeah,
He
does.
doesn't even
Yeah.
drink.
Nope.
Yes, and Tony, Chris, you know, a person like Donald Trump, my parents are like, they're willing to die for Donald Trump. And I'm like, guys, we need you around a little longer. Hold on. They're like,
Yeah.
no, we're going to the rally. We're bringing our guns. We're just doing it, you know?
Cool.
And I'm like, okay, I love you guys. And, you know, they came in the 90s, similar to the gentleman that I just brought up, the 18-year-old, the awarded
Yeah.
18-year-old, you know, going into just all these different projects. I'd love to bring him on too for you guys, because he's one of the most impressive
We'd love it.
18-year-olds
Yeah.
I've
Talk to
Oh, we
Chris
ever
about
definitely
that.
seen.
like that. That would
Absolutely.
be
I'll
fantastic.
send you
Yeah.
his resume, Chris. You're gonna
Yeah.
be blown away.
Yeah,
Him and I
Mike,
are thinking of what's
you
that?
said something in passing that I just want to stop you. You said something in
Yeah.
passing that was very, very important. He
Yes.
came here in the 90s. They came here in the 90s. This is
Ooh.
shortly after the Soviet Union fell. These people
Ooh.
lived under Soviet rule. Can I ask you a question? Because
Yeah.
I've talked with a lot of people in
Please.
the Ukrainian community who've lived under Soviet rule. How are they seeing the way the US and even the EU and many factions of the EU running their governments right now, almost as reflective as the old Soviet Union?
Wow. You know,
Especially when it
ooh,
comes to jailing people who speak out in
ooh,
the last
that is
administration.
deep. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, people in Ukraine, I think they're very narrow-minded now, in the sense that, where are our weapons coming from? Where is our money coming from? We don't care how it happens. We just need to push back Putin, you know? I don't think they even, to be honest, I don't think they are afforded the time to think about who is acting so much. They're thinking, where's the weapons? Where's the money? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, the really who is controlling that is you know, a world leader like Donald Trump, who luckily for us is he is conservative, you know, he is sober minded, and you know, he reminds me of these people that I interfaced with as a child growing up and was influenced by, which were these conservative men that knew that if we dabble with anything unserious, we will lose our families, because we're on welfare and food stamps right now in the 90s. thank God for that America provided food and sponsors for people like my family in the 90s, 1992 to come. And we had food to eat. We had, our rents taken care of by the welfare system until my dad, a few months later had a full-time job and then got off of welfare and food stamps and stuff like that. And all of those men with that basically Donald Trump mentality in the sense where, or our American mentality. I know you guys are like that, Tony and Chris, and I commend and respect both of you guys, both Tony and Chris, for, living a clean life and living a conscious life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Mike, I'm a retired spy, and I did everything spies do. As a matter of fact, you can read about it in Operation Dark Heart. No, I've been yelled at a lot. What I think we could agree upon is that we recognize that we need to be focused on how to be good citizens to create conditions for everybody else to succeed. And I believe you in particular are an example of someone who chose success. I think it's great.
Chris.
And I love that. I love that background. Chris, can we do that? I didn't do that for my background.
I think I can do that.
But
too.
the idea,
yeah.
But the idea is like Chris, for example. Chris is like Ed McMahon. He doesn't wash up on beaches drunk like Ed McMahon did, except for that.
Yes,
that's right. But Mike, where you're going with this, and I think it's important because I enlisted in the 1980s. I became an officer. I was chasing terrorists in the mid 80s, literally, who were German terrorists who were actually funded by Russia. So I have no inherent love for Russia. I don't. It's not like, and because I always get this, like, you're pro-Putin. It's like, no, I'm not. I actually got shot at by guys. I almost got killed by a guy who was funded by the Russians to kill us in Germany back in '85. So it's kind of like, no, I have no love for that. What I think we do recognize is there needs to be an equilibrium where we have to go to a certain point, like Reagan engaged with Gorbachev, trust with verification, trust but verify. I think we're to that point of where I think everybody's exhausted from war. Everybody knows that it was stupid to go to war. It is what it is. Now's the time to find a path to reconciliation. And I said, culturally, don't kick my ass for saying this. Culturally, there's a lot of similarities between Ukraine and Russia. They're not completely the same, but they're similar. And I think that's where it's like us and the Canadians. Like, can you imagine us going to war with the Canadians? It'd be over in 10 minutes. No, I'm just joking. Don't get upset. Don't stick Justin Trudeau's eyebrows on me.
Actually,
but I'm just saying there's
actually you didn't know about this. You're a spy. I know you're not allowed to talk about this, but I'm a regular citizen. I just go by the conspiracy theory. You probably know about all of this, but the Canadians developed something called the atomic syrup bomb, where what happens is it would be launched from a base to a certain point, like New York City. Then it would explode in a nuclear cloud, but pour syrup all over the streets, crippling the entire city and its power grid, much like the molasses, inspired by that molasses disaster in Boston back in 1919 or 1918 or what was it?
Yeah, people died from drowning in molasses.
Right. Yeah. So watch out for that thing. It's that could cripple an entire couple of cities. We have to eat our way out.
My point that Chris is trying to distract us from is that that's you. And you guys have similarities with Russia. There's a basis because I'm as a military guy, I study history and the Great Patriotic War, the defense of Ukraine against Germany. Man, oh man! I mean, the Battle of Kursk. It was obviously Russian, but you guys had a lot. Ukraine had a lot of stuff that was on the line. As a matter of fact, wasn't Stalingrad was that in Ukraine or not?
Soviet.
I know
that was Lenin.
Well, I know Crimea. There was battles in Crimea. Yeah. There was battles in Crimea that you guys fought valiantly. So my point is that you guys were part of the system that beat the Nazis, and that's great. But now I think we all need to recognize peace is the ultimate objective for both sides. And do you think there's a basis for you guys to eventually get along with the Russians or not? Or is this something that's always going to be antagonistic?
100%. That's what I'm putting to be honest, when I flew to Ukraine in 23, it was an invite from President Zelenskyy to come and perform on state-controlled media and all that stuff, be with widows and orphans and work with organizations there. And to be honest with you, I can't speak to this point with Ukrainians because they would just get so upset. But I can with you guys.
I'm sure that's true.
I can with you guys because you would understand, and that is that it's still in my heart. Like, I can't say this on Ukrainian TV, but still in my heart is a situation where the brothers' war ends and the brotherhood continues in a sense, or is rebuilt. And there's so many similarities. Like, if you say what I'm about to say next, like, this would trigger any Ukrainian, but the languages are very similar. They actually are. It's the Cyrillic alphabets. There's Cyrillic alphabets, and there's words that are identical. There's words that are exactly the same, that are pronounced exactly the same. Like, many times, it happens dozens of times between the two languages. These are brothers that are fighting the Cain and Abel war from Genesis, from the Old Testament in the Bible, right? The Cain and Abel trying to kill each other. That's what's going on. And Big Dad needs to show up. Big Dad Donald Trump needs to show up and say, and as he is doing, and say, this thing needs to end. We're on the cusp of World War III. These two Napoleon complex individuals, Putin and Zelenskyy, all of their 5'8" stature. They're both 5'8", by the way. They're smaller guys that are running. What's that?
I'm 5'8". Hold on.
No, you're not. You look 6'4". You look 6'4", Chris. You're definitely 6'4".
Don't worry about a booster seat.
But
you're no Anthony Fauci, Chris. Don't kid yourself. You're not.
What do you mean? Stand 6 feet apart, huh?
That's right. So, Mike, that's a good thing. So, Mike, this is a good trivia question for you because you're like hip enough to know American culture and yet be a little bit, kind of arm's length from it. Do you think Anthony Fauci is more like a gnome or a leprechaun?
Oh man,
it's a valid question.
Man.
It's still unresolved, by the way. We just don't know. We don't know. It's like a mystery. It's like who built Stonehenge? We just don't know. We just don't know.
We just don't know. We just don't know.
By the way, if you want to check out Mike's music, he's on Spotify, he's on Instagram, he's all over the place. You
check him out
right there.
Yeah, Mike's great. Mike Nova. Mike, I think that's a great stage name. I like Mike Nova. It's Mike better Nova than yeah.
It's a derivative of Mikhail Mironov right there, So that's where Mike Nova comes from. It's from the full Slavic name, Yeah,
it's good. Yeah. You didn't pick something like Ben Dover, which is good. That's good, not the choice to make.
Woo. That statement will save for Zelenskyy.
Or Dick Durbin. They say Dick Durbin before he dicks you.
Oh my God.
So that's another guy, though. Dick Durbin will not be coming on our show, folks. Just saying. He will never accept an invitation, I'm sure. So.
Oh my God.
So Mike, tell us. We got about 2 minutes left, and we love you coming on. We want you back. We want to bring your friends on too. So tell us what you think is going to come out of the next week. Do you think that we're going to get a framework that Zelenskyy? Do you think he'll take a flight out of Japan, return to Washington, and actually do something to help the Ukrainian people?
Man, unfortunately, we might not see Zelenskyy stop his visits to Japan, but more importantly than that, there's two players in the conversation that really are running the whole narrative, and that is President Trump and President Putin, and they want, they both are interested in making great deals and adding to each other's GDP, or at least to their own GDP, and Trump knows how to lead that conversation. So I think we're in good hands, regardless of some of those hands holding what are those ski poles? Ski poles. The
Yeah.
Zelensky, we're in good hands, although the Ukrainian governmental hands are, they've got ski poles and are ready for a Japan trip. So, yeah. I think
So
we're good.
to that point, one of the things that was completely glossed over by all the media yesterday was a key phrase, and that they said during, and it's in both readouts. It's bilateral. That's technical. That's diplomacy speak for we too. Only Putin and Trump are going to do this, and so Zelensky's out, the EU's out, and I'm looking forward as soon as we're done here today to hear the EU kind of getting upset because they're done. And by the way, Trump has said this, like, you guys had 3 years to resolve this, you didn't do it, so we're just going to do it. So I think it's the right answer, Mike. I'm glad you think it's the right answer. I know we think it's the right answer too. So, well, we got to go, man. It's been a fast hour. Everybody's complaining about how fast the show is, and we're done. It's like lightning. This is faster than Jean-Luc Picard's toupee on Star Trek: The Next Generation. So
I do have a little bit of news though about Zelensky. It winds up that Volodymyr Zelensky, when he was here in the States last year, he was asked by the Washington Nationals team to throw out the ceremonial first pitch in one of the baseball games. The problem was when he was there, he didn't throw out the pitch because when he was there, he saw the first baseline and was absolutely disappointed that it wasn't a huge line for him. That he decided not to throw out that first pitch.
Uh-oh.
One of those Keith Hernandez lines, huh?
I don't know. I think Zelensky is a pitcher and catcher, if you know what I mean. A little bit of AC/DC, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't know that. I don't know.
We'll find out in June.
Yeah, we'll find out in June. So until June, well, Mike, come back soon. Chris, make sure you get it back in. Patriots, we got to go. I got to go do county commissioner stuff now. I got to go pretend I'm a doctor and be on a doctor committee. So this is going to be hilarious. I got my lab coat and everything ready to go.
How about a gnome hat?
You're going to do great, Tony. You're going to do great,
right.
like you always
Mike.
have.
Good seeing you. Thank you. All right, we'll see you all soon. Thanks, guys.
God bless you guys and your loved ones.